Good morning, everyone. I will call this meeting of the TRPA Legal Committee to order. It is Wednesday, July 24th, and it
Haley,
is
we can barely hear you. Can you?
8:40. I know, I'm like shouting at my computer. I'm so sorry. I don't know what else to do.
That's okay.
It's not your computer, Haley.
Thanks, Wes. I'll speak as loudly as I can, you guys. My apologies. Let's call this
Haley,
meeting.
this is John. We are still trying to get our audio visual up.
Got it.
So just a second.
Yep. Let me know when you're ready, John.
Thank you. Okay, Haley,
Yep.
I think we're ready to go.
All right. Thanks, you guys. And I will talk as loudly as I can. So I hope you can all hear me. Let's call, good morning. Let's call the TRPA Legal Committee to order. It's Wednesday, July 24th. It is 8:43 a.m. The first item on the agenda is the roll call to determine quorum. Maria, could you please call the roll?
Miss Aldine,
Here.
Miss Faustinos,
Here.
Miss Loomer,
Here.
Mr. Rice,
Here.
Miss Williamson.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. A few housekeeping rules. If you are observing this meeting remotely, you go under the calendar header and click on Governing Board Hybrid Meeting for July 24th, 2024. There you will find a link to the public meeting. To address committee members with your comments, please raise your hand in Zoom by clicking the Raise Hand button at the appropriate agenda item. With your hand raised, you will be unmuted by TRPA staff and have 3 minutes to address the committee. If you have dialed in by telephone, you can dial *9 to be unmuted. Thank you. Me and Wes are remote. I thank you guys for helping me solve the camera problem. So that appears to be working. Next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Mr. Marshall, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Chair, there we're going to we don't need item 4, closed session, or 5, so we'll be taking those off calendar.
Great. And with those changes, we will deem the agenda approved as noted by John Marshall. Thank you. Next, let's move on to agenda item 2, which is approval of minutes. We have a draft set of minutes from June 26th, 2024 on page 7 of your packet. Does any member of the committee wish to make a change? Shelley?
No. They were extremely brief, but accurate. So
Perfect.
I'd like to move approval of the minutes from the legal committee meeting of June 26, 2024, as presented.
Thank you, Shelley. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone object? Motion passes. Let's move on now then to agenda item 3, which is the resolution of enforcement action, Kevin Meyer, unauthorized operation of a motorized watercraft in a tributary of Lake Tahoe and operating in speeds in excess of 5 miles per hour within 600 feet of the water line of Lake Tahoe. Information on this item can be found on page 55 of your packet. As a reminder to the public, after board discussion on this item, you may raise your hand either in Zoom or in person to be called on by a TRPA staff member. Steve Sweet, can I call on you please to present this item?
Yes, thank you. Steve Sweet, Co-Compliance Program Manager. This is, again, resolution of enforcement action with Kevin Meyer, consent calendar item 1, page 55 of your packet. The violation involves unauthorized operation of a watercraft in the Upper Truckee River. Could you go to the next slide, please? The violations occurred in the entrance to the Upper Truckee River in the south shore of Lake Tahoe. A brief description of the violation. In April 2024, TRPA staff received complaints and video documentation of a motorized watercraft operating in excess of 5 miles per hour in the tributary of Lake Tahoe in the South Shore area. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. TRP staff investigated the matter and determined that Kevin Meyer, a state line resident, was operating his watercraft in the Upper Truckee River and operating at unauthorized speeds that close to the shoreline. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. These unauthorized operation of the watercraft in the Upper Truckee River occurred in violation of 2 code sections, 84.10.1.c, which prohibits the creation of wake or speeds in excess of 5 miles per hour within 600 feet of the shore, and then 84.10.1.d, which prohibits the operation of motorized watercraft in the tributaries of the region. Mr. Meyer has accepted responsibility for the unauthorized activities and has agreed to the settlement. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. A settlement where he'll pay a $10,000 penalty to TRPA, and staff believes this settlement agreement is appropriate response to the violation and will help deter future violations of similar nature, and is recommending that the governing board approve proposed settlement agreement. Mr. Meyer could not make it here today because he had to be at work. But he has been very, very cooperative through the settlement and negotiations and resolution of the violations.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Steve, this is the first instance where we've had a violation of this nature, boats operating in tributaries. Is the area posted? Is the 5 mile an hour speed limit posted anywhere near the entrance to the Truckee River?
The speed limits are not posted, but they're that's why we do we have all the education around the lake with the app and the no wake zones, and but we don't have, I wouldn't say that everywhere is posted around the lake where there's no wake zones or tributaries, but
right. But most of the emphasis over the years has been on Lake Tahoe, not the tributaries. I'm just wondering if that wouldn't be advisable. It's geographically a relatively restricted area, and maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to post 5 mile an hour speed limit.
Yeah.
And then I had a question about the settlement agreement. Let me get closer to the mic. Typically, if the offender, doesn't pay within a timely manner, then we double the fine. It's now $50,000 and the original fine was 10. Is that a typographical error?
that was a typographical area. We could change that to
Okay.
20.
Well, he signed it, so.
Yeah, he agreed to that. So
Okay, well, he needs to
yeah.
read these documents a little more
Yes,
carefully, I think.
that was a mistake.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Mr. Meyer, I spoke with him yesterday and he said he will be down to pay the penalty immediately, and again has been very apologetic for what he's
And
done.
at that time, we'll have him re-sign the settlement agreement with a modified amount.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
If I could,
Great catch, Shelley. Please go ahead.
John Marshall for the record. Shelley was, there's two different violations. One was operating a powered boat within a watercraft within a tributary. So not really having anything to do with speed. And the other one was a violation of the no wake zone as you're coming into the, so he was going more than, creating a wake more than in Lake Tahoe as well as, within the tributary. So it was the 5 miles an hour is really no wake zone as opposed to operating a vehicle or a motorized watercraft within a tributary.
Right, but in order to create a wake, you have to go in excess of 5 miles an hour.
Correct.
So, okay.
And I will discuss with the city of South Lake Tahoe in that area about signage and what we can do to better educate people and on these subjects.
That would be great. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or discussion from the committee? Okay, I don't see any, so I'd like to turn to public comment if there is any. Is there any public comment on this agenda item?
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised and there is no one in the room to make public comment.
Thank you, Maria. With that, last call, is there anyone else on the committee that has questions or comments? If not, I am looking for a motion on this item.
Madam Chair, I move to approve a settlement agreement as modified, the settlement agreement in attachment A as modified on the record.
Thank you. With that motion, just as a note, in order for this motion to pass, an affirmative vote of a majority of the quorum is required. Maria, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Alding,
Yes.
Ms. Faustinos,
Yes.
Mr. Rice,
Yes.
Ms. Loomer,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
Great, thank you. We have taken off agenda items 4 and 5, and so we are now on to agenda item 6, which is committee member comments. Any committee members have comments this morning from legal?
I do, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Rice.
I would like to wish Mr. Kiekhofer a very successful term on this committee. It's been a pleasure serving. John, you've always been a pillar of information for us, and I will be moving on to operations.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. We'll miss you, but welcome to Ben. Anyone else? Any other committee member comments? Okay, let's move on then. Agenda item 7 is public interest comments. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak at this time?
Madam Chair, there's no one in the room nor anyone online to make public comment.
Thank you very much, Maria. With that short and sweet legal committee this morning, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. We're adjourned out of legal, and I believe governing board starts no earlier than 9.